Here we are at our first full-length DBQ in Western Civ. So let's talk about the topic of this DBQ before we dive into it. Most people don't realize that Spain, called Al-Andalus, or Land of the Vandals at the time, and some parts of southern Italy were once controlled by the Abbasid Caliphate, or the Muslims, for quite some time. Due to the fact that they were on the borderlands with Europe, they actually had a really important influence on European culture, learning, and more. A lot of historians will now say that the Renaissance in Europe could not have happened without the cultural flourishing that was going on in the Abbasid Caliphate. They had universities that copied Greek and Latin texts into Arabic, fantastic architecture due to how awesome they were at math and physics. In fact, if you watch John Green's episode on the Dark Ages, you'll find that this was not a dark age for the Middle East, Spain, or China at all, but a golden age of prosperity. Now, eventually, Europe will climb back out of its dark age and take over the world, but that would probably not have happened without the inspiration and translations made by the Islamic world. With that said, because Spain was so close to the rest of Europe, it's a very important piece of the development of Europe. Spain was a place where Muslims, Christians, and Jews all lived relatively peacefully for a few hundred years. They worked alongside each other, and the caliphs used Christians and Jews as physicians, court ambassadors, and more. Charlemagne received ambassadors from Spain, for example, Christian ones. In fact, one of them brought him an elephant, which he rode around to show off, because, he's Charlemagne. His ambassadors, when they went to Spain, were floored when they saw the beautiful architecture, columns, arches, running water, and more. They even had sherbet, made from ice brought down from the mountains. Truly an advanced culture for the time. So now that you know a little bit about Al-Andalus, or Islamic Spain, let's get to the DBQ. First, note that there are two separate assignments. First, the graphic organizer. A Google Classroom assignment is due Thursday before class starts on Google Classroom. The reason for this is that you will need to analyze all the documents, including attempting one of the sourcing elements, or happy elements, on each document before you head into the actual writing phase. Why am I so mean to make you do this? Because whenever I don't, the essays are not as well done. They're not as organized, and you forget to include pieces of the rubric. So, the first assignment is the graphic organizer, and this one's worth 15 points. Next, we will write the DBQ in class on Thursday and Friday. This will eventually be turned to turnitin.com and will be worth 30 points. Remember that we made a turnitin.com account earlier this year? But, of course, you can't get started on writing the full-fledged DBQ until you've completed the graphic organizer. So go ahead and get started. Good luck!